is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
So right now, devastating fires are wreaking havoc in LA. The fires being marked as the most destructive and costly in the history of the city. There are currently two predominant wildfires, with the largest being in Palisades and the second one in Eaton. For comparison, the Palisades wildfire is about the size of a combination of Queens, a piece of Manhattan, and a chunk of New Jersey. Apparently, the fire began in the second week of the month, January 7th of the new year. New York is experiencing its usual winter, while California is battered by huge amounts of flames intensified by turbulent winds. The fire is estimated to cost around $10 billion, with valuables and expensive buildings and infrastructures affected. Around 10,000 of buildings were destroyed and damaged by the fires. This phenomenon doesn't usually happen in January. This begs the question, how prepared is California for large catastrophic fires like these? Because it seems like they aren't. Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass drew huge criticisms. There was a conference last Saturday, and Mayor Karen Bass faced hard-hitting questions. On how prepared the city is for a fire event.
With CBS News, for Mayor Bass, please. Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started. And for several hours, we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when
that did not happen.
Assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Do you think your leadership was effective while responding to this disaster?
I just said what I believe is the most important thing for us to do right now, and that is going to continue to be my focus. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the...
It's crazy that months prior, they considered and approved fund cuts for the fire department when there are usually the rampant wildfires that happen in California. This is just the nature of the state. So it kind of doesn't make any sense that you would do something like that, especially when the state itself experienced droughts and dryness, and then you have these strong forces of winds. So if there's any kind of small fires, it will be magnified. And when those things get going, like evidently what's happening right now, it doesn't stop. So you need people force and you need water force. So clearly they're having those kind of issues. It didn't help that the fire department budget was cut by over $17 million. LAFD Chief Kristen Crowley, she warned that the reduction of the budget would spell disaster, affecting core operations, which is a crucial factor. I mean, you can't run a department if you're understaffed, under budget, and you don't have the capacity to be able to perform and answer to an event like this. I mean, look what she had to say here. She had to admit the failures Check this video out.
The budget. There's so much talk about it. It was cut 17 million. It was cut this. It wasn't cut at all, according to one newspaper. Was your budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025 cut?
I can tell you, I'm going to even go back further than that. Again, since day one, we've identified huge gaps in regard to our service delivery and our ability from our firefighters, boots on the ground, to do their jobs. Since day one, this is my third budget as we're going into 25-26. What I can tell you is we are still understaffed, we're still under-resourced, and we're still underfunded. So with that, whether it's 7 million, 10 million.
But was the budget cut, Chief?
Yes, it was cut. Now, let's focus back on what our people need, and what they need to be is properly funded and equipped. Whether it's 7 million or not, it doesn't matter. It impacts our ability, just like you said with the board report, of our ability to provide service, and that's on a normal day. Our firefighters are running over 1,500 calls. They're transporting 650 patients a day on a normal day, let alone the last 3 days of what we've had with significant impacts that have changed the communities that we serve, their lives forever.
In December, you wrote that memo. You said that these budget cuts were going to severely affect your department, from everything from brush clearance checks to make sure homeowners were doing what they needed to do, to fire hydrant checks. And yet you heard the mayor just yesterday say, no, those cuts did not affect the ability to serve and would not have changed anything in this situation. What is going through your mind? And I know this is difficult. There are a lot of politics at play. You are not a politician. You are the woman responsible for all these men and women at LA City Fire and for our residents in the city of Los Angeles. When you hear the mayor say it didn't affect anything at all, what is going through your head? If you can share that with us.
Sure. So just full transparency. Again, my position is to make sure that our people get what they need to do their jobs, and also, mind you, that they get to go home to their families. The amount of calls that our firefighters are running today has doubled since 2010, a 55% increase with 68 less people. Full transparency, this isn't a new problem for us. Since the 3 years that I've been in the seat, I've sounded the alarm to say we need more. This is no longer sustainable, but we need to be funded appropriately, and that's where my head is. You asked.
The mayor said it didn't affect your ability to respond. Did it affect LA City Fire's ability to respond, starting with the Palisade fire and then this domino effect of fires, including the Archer fire that we're seeing happen right now in Granada Hills?
Yeah, I think obviously any budget cut is going to impact our ability to provide service. That's at this point, that is a ground truth in regard to our ability. If there's a budget cut, we had to pull from somewhere else. What does that mean? That doesn't get done. There's delays.
What is your message to city administrators, starting with Mayor Bass?
My message is the fire department needs to be properly funded.
And it's not.
It's not at this point.
You know, 20 years ago, you had more fire stations than you have now?
We had 112 fire stations. Now we have 106. And since 2010, we've had an increase, doubled our call volume, which is firefighters responding to calls, 55% increase with 68 less firefighters.
So the city funding is not keeping up with the city's needs in real time?
No, and that's what our firefighters need.
In your mind, what were you thinking when you hear all those city leaders say, it didn't affect, everything was great, it's unprecedented and la la la. And yes, the Santa Ana winds are unprecedented. We don't have them in January. We all know that. What was going through your heart?
What's going through my heart is that our firefighters, the community's firefighters, LAFD firefighters need to be properly funded. We need to be supported so that they can do their jobs.
Also, just months before, Governor Newsom cut the fire budget by over $100 million, according to a report. We are talking about a state that's poorly run, with crimes being downgraded to misdemeanors, with businesses having to close down and move out of California. It's one of the reasons for a mass exodus of people in California and moving to places like Texas. Funnily enough, Joe Rogan had spoke about this in his podcast, where he talked with a firefighter he knew about eventually there will be a moment in time in California where wildfire is going to be so huge that there is nothing California can do to answer for it. They aren't going to be prepared for this. And lo and behold, here we are now. We have this calamity in California, and the government and the fire department, really, they just don't know what to do. They're trying so hard, but they're having issues with fire hydrants not producing water for them, and it's just basically ruining a lot of the buildings. And these buildings are expensive, so it's just so funny. I mean, check this video out.
Yeah, it is just luck. Yeah.
I mean, the benefit of your place is you're at least in a helicopter accessible.
Well, that is
they're
true.
just going to dump all that fire retardant right on top of you.
I literally am kind of at the top of the hill on a bunch of rock.
Yeah.
All right, so if the whole place
nice.
it turns into an inferno, I'm still fucked.
And I think that place has probably been there a while.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
probably
yeah,
withstood all sorts of calamity.
Yeah, when I was filming Fear Factor, I talked to this guy who was a fire guy for the fire department. He said, it's just going to be a matter of time. There's going to be one day where a fire hits L.A., and the wind is the right way, and we're not going to be able to stop it. It's just going to burn right through to the ocean. He goes, it's just a matter of time. We all know it. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I go, the whole city? He goes, the whole city. He goes, when those big fires get going, there's not a damn thing. Like what happened in Malibu a few years back?
With the fires being so bad as it is, you have people that are in dire need of assistance. And there is this video actually with a very concerned mother who happened to pass by Gavin Newsom with her concern for her community and wanting to find solutions. She gets out of the car, confronts Newsom as to what he'll do about it. And it's actually kind of funny how he reacts and sort of plays it off by saying he has been in an attempt to contact President Biden, but it seemed more like a promotional stunt. And he's kind of like trying to pivot away from her, talking about there's no connection. I don't know how the connection would affect necessarily with the fire happening.
This was a little cooking store thing. This is a parking lot for a center. We shouldn't be seeing this. We should. This is where people need to wake up. Because if you're voting and you're picking people for softness or for the fuzzy feeling you got because they seem like they're good people, I want to know that we're going to have someone in charge. Is that Gavin Newsom? That's the governor. That's the governor. Governor, I live here, governor. That was my daughter's school, governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is being criticised by some for water mismanagement as hydrants ran dry while fires multiplied.
So I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now, and it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids, losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally, you know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I would. I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
With the fires being as massive as they are, a lot of people are affected by it, actually. Also, you have celebrities who have had their house burned, and really, it's been a desperate time for them. Celebrities have been chiming in, either social media outlets and news, and you have Mandy Moore, Mel Gibson, Adam Brody, Paris Hilton, Billy Crystal, and James Wood, to name a few. Mandy Moore, she posted a GoFundMe and got blasted by fans criticizing her for asking for donation when she can simply help her in-laws. Here's some screenshots. And it really to just fulfill that 60,000, which should be no problem for her, because I mean, you know, she's had many jobs, and I'm pretty sure she's gotten you know, a good amount of salary from doing those roles that she's been in. So it's something that people weren't really happy for, even for her to go ahead and even ask for help, ask for monetary assistance. It's just silly. And she actually also reacted to it in a very negative way, which is funny. And on the other side, you have Mel Gibson, not very pleased with public servants, as we know who they are. And, you know, he meant Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Mel goes on to say, spend less on hair gel.
Joining us now, actor and Academy Award-winning director Mel Gibson, an old friend, a Malibu resident who tragically just lost his home to the Palisades fire. Do you believe in what you know so far, anything could have happened like this?
Yeah, well, one always suspects that this might happen, but one thinks that the resources, you know, and the capabilities of the men and women will be on standby, that they'll be able to cope with any situation that comes up. But apparently some people were asleep on the job, mainly our leaders there. But, you know, that's something they have to live with. And but that's something the community has to live with. It's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, you know, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads. And kids, and you know, they're traumatized. So, someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are.
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say to them? Not big admirer of either, but there you go.
California is so focused on diversity hires that because of this prerogative, that aspect of the department suffers. They were claiming firefighting is mostly white and male. So to combat that, they implement this DI program, where of course that would harm the optimum performance of the fire department. The irony is now you have these hires who are in charge and the city burns and they are ill prepared. I mean, what's funny is that the department released a video with Christine Larson, LA Fire Department's first lesbian equity bureau chief, saying this.
Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
When you are having to blame a potential victim for being in the wrong place, my mind just blanked at the absurdity of that comment. You are a firefighter because it's your duty to save those in need, not blame them for being in the wrong place. It's just so silly. No victim are thinking about the color of your skin when you want to be saved. They're not looking at you, oh my goodness, your skin tone, it's not the same as mine. I can't be saved by you. No one's thinking about that. They just want to be saved by someone and be glad to do so, to be able to live, to see another day. It's silly to even say that someone could be more comfortable to be saved by someone that matches their skin tone. It's just a preposterous thinking, really, if you think about it. Lastly, we have President-elect Trump and his responses to the wildfires. He basically is disappointed with the management of the city and the response to the fires. He goes on to slam Gavin Newsom for prioritizing a native smelt over ensuring there are water reserves, but instead goes to dump them to the ocean. Trump does promise and vows to work with Newsom on facilitating support and aid to the people and its infrastructure.
I mean, California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem, because you're talking about big, big dollars.
Well, guys, that'll be all for now. I'm pretty new to YouTube, and hopefully you guys enjoyed my first attempt at making a content like this. I do have some questions really for you guys. Do you think Newsom and Bass handled the fires better, or could measures have been put in place to prepare for this unforeseeable calamity? If no, should Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass resign? Really, I'd like to hear your thoughts, guys. Sound off on the comments below, and thank you.